Business Takeout presents The Takeout Effect with Banki. The Takeout Effect brings real conversations in business.
Welcome to The Takeout Effect. The Takeout Effect brings real conversations in business. I'm your host, and my name is Banki. The Takeout Effect is brought to you by Business Takeout. Business Takeout is a nonprofit social enterprise. Our mission is to increase Black wealth and empower Black entrepreneurs. So today we have a great show. We have an amazing guest today. She has about 20 years experience in the cannabis industry. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Ashley Athill. Hi, Ashley. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much, Banki, for having me and inviting me on your platform. I think what Business Takeout does is provide a platform for Black entrepreneurs to really showcase what they have, and I'm very grateful for all of the work you and your team have done.
Thank you so much, and that means a lot. We want to talk about a lot of things today. We want to cover your entrepreneurship journey. We want to cover the cannabis industry and what it means in terms of diversity, in that space. We also want to talk about the Black entrepreneurship program. So there's so much to cover, so much to dive into. But before we do that, we have a message from our sponsor. Our sponsor today is Banki Designs. Banki Designs is a branding and design firm that specializes in graphic design, web design, and social media content marketing. And let's have a word from our sponsor. All right, so let's dive right into it. Ashley, can you let everyone know who you are and what you do?
Sure. My name is Ashley Athill. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Harvester Cannabis. We are a licensed production facility located in Durham, Ontario. Essentially, for those individuals that understand what I'm saying, you got it already. But for those individuals that don't have the terminology and the lingo, we are a cannabis farm that is licensed by Health Canada. We're an indoor cultivation facility where we actually grow the cannabis plant, and as well we process the cannabis plant into different products and then in turn sell it to federal distributors like the Ontario Cannabis Store and other retailers.
Amazing. So how did you got started this journey?
Very loaded question. I've been in this cannabis space for a very long time, probably a little bit longer than should be. But that being said, I was very driven by the cannabis plant. My family is from Jamaica and Antigua, and in Jamaica, they were farmers. So that farmer, that work ethic has been instilled in me at a very young age. So I'm actually essentially, sorry, I apologize. So being in that space, I had the opportunity to see how things grow and, really focus on what I love to do, and that's growing. I've been in this space for a long time, but back in legalization, we're talking October 17th, 2019, 18. I actually partnered with Abby Roach at Hotbox in Kensington Market in Toronto, Ontario, where we, where we actually started Canada's first grow school. We had literally every race, color, creed, age come in because they were curious about one thing, and that's growing cannabis. So we had a fantastic array of people coming in, to the point where even CBC came in to see what we were doing. That was a little bit nerve-wracking, but nonetheless, it was a fantastic start to my cannabis journey. That journey led me into building my company called Sensi at that time. And Sensi actually was an arm which tapped into the HR departments of small, medium-sized enterprises. So what we actually did was provide education to HR departments specifically around policy making and education around cannabis usage of their employees, and as well how they can build policies around it so they don't find themselves in an unfortunate predicament when it comes to now the legalization of cannabis. Now, that's a lot to say.
But you know what, though? It really shows in terms of anyone who is looking to get into the cannabis industry that there's so much different areas that you can dive into. Yes. Do you want to share some of like the different, different ways entrepreneurship as an entrepreneur, especially a Black entrepreneur, that you can really get into the cannabis industry?
Yes. So from there, I actually decided to move into the cultivation and processing space, as I mentioned before. That's one way of getting into the cannabis industry through licensing, a licensing structured environment. So cultivation, which is growing the plant, processing, which is taking the plant and processing it into different product. Those are two licensing options. And the third licensing option is retail stores. Those are three different licensing options that individuals can grasp onto. There's another subsection that focuses on cannabis, which is auxiliary businesses, whether it be, and these are great transferable skills for anybody who's interested, whether it be tapping into the tech side of cannabis industry. In my facility, we use automated platforms to actually ensure that our facility is growing and it's doing so at in a monitored environment. There's security that needs to be done. So building security companies is definitely something of interest for a lot of people. People are building hydroponic stores. So we need supplies to actually grow what we grow. So building hydroponic stores or, soil distributors, that's a fantastic space to be in, as well as data, collection of data. There are cannabis sommeliers. There's an abundance of opportunities in this space, and it doesn't have to be strictly for licensing. It can be in the auxiliary space, but one will just have to actually tap into the cannabis space to actually understand that a little bit more.
That's true. And it just opens your eyes into just different things and different skill sets that you would already have. Oh my gosh. Different skill set that you already have, and you can just apply it to the cannabis space in different elements.
That's
right?
Correct. Yep, that's correct.
And it's just so amazing because I believe that's I read somewhere that it's in 2025, it's going to be $1 billion. This is going to be $1 billion industry in the year 2025. We're in the year 2021 right now. So you can just imagine, the opportunities that are there and how a lot of entrepreneurs can really take advantage of it.
Banki, I'm so happy that you mentioned that number. Now, projections are not always accurate, right?
Yeah.
There's one thing for sure is that I couldn't tell you a solid number of what cannabis was in the gray market beforehand, but on the day of legalization, Canada brought in $1.1 billion from retail sales. And in 2020, towards Canada's GDP, the cannabis industry put forward $9.68 billion. So this is not even an industry that is growing exponentially, no pun intended. But it is still in its infancy. And because it's still in its infancy means that there are so many subsectors that can actually support this industry, which can essentially help Canada get out of this kind of economic turmoil that we're currently in right now. So this is something, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just about to really say that you can really, once you learn about it, the industry, and learn more about it, you can also find new opportunities that other people haven't discovered because it's so new to really build on.
Absolutely. And you know what? I always say, use your curiosity to guide you. If you're interested in HR, if you're interested in security or tech or even cultivation, growing, education, anything along those lines. Like, it's there and you can transfer your skills into this space.
Yes, definitely. So, before COVID, what was sales like for your business when it comes to
Yeah. So with regards to our business, we got licensed in October 9th, 2020. Obviously, it takes a little bit of time to grow a plant and get it out there. So we've been utilizing business to business channels, and we're now getting into the business to consumer channel by going to the OCS and our product, our bijou blunts, what I'm really excited to talk to all of you guys about, will be at the OCS, the Ontario Cannabis Store, as of January. So I just want to thank my partners, Cess Holdings, and the OCS for all the support that they've given us during this transition. So when it comes to sales, I'm just wondering if you're looking for a specific number, but
not really. Just an idea of whether or not sales were good or comparison to before COVID and after COVID, but it looks like your company started during COVID.
Exactly. So It was a little bit difficult, but here's a stat that I do. It's a little bit difficult to give you those solid numbers, but here's a stat that might be of some interest. Back in 2019, there was an increase of 74% of sales during 2019, there was a 74% increase of sales in 2020. So what does that tell you? That tells you that, okay, yeah, people might have been at home. Yes, they might have been scared to go meet their dealer. But as well, they might have found the convenience of just going online and finding a strain that works for them and getting it shipped from the OCS. Or essentially, the big news is all of the retail stores that have been implemented and having that accessibility just to go to the retail stores and actually buy that cannabis. So there has been a dramatic increase in sales since 2019 of last year versus 2020 of this year.
Yes. And I can see that just really looking at, COVID and the impact of our mental health and our, how that can affect sales as well. And I remember at one point when COVID had just started and it had, a lot of stocks were going down and it was like the best time to buy stocks. A lot of people was looking into cannabis stocks. Yeah. And why is that? It's because it's going to get there.
It's going to get there. And, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physician of any sort, so I can't really speak to the medical benefits of it. And as a producer, I don't have the capability of speaking to the medical benefits of it. But it seems like people are utilizing it either to reduce their stress or to really get them to that next step. Because right now we live in a space of uncertainty, and people are just looking for something to, really kind of guide them and hold on to. And I just want to put this out there to a lot of people that cannabis, as much as I sell it and I want you guys to consume it, I also firmly believe in ensuring that you do everything in moderation. Okay. And it's important that we do not abuse this beautiful plant, because it is beautiful. It gives us a lot of support. It gives us a lot of help, but you don't abuse it. You want to make sure you're using it in moderation, just like alcohol, just like drugs.
And I'm really glad to say that, because it really is the truth, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll be the first to say it. I think it's important that people have an idea not to exploit something that is just brand new. If you're interested and you're curious, yeah, absolutely learn about it. If you want to utilize it, go ahead. Utilize it, but just make sure you're taking your time with it. Make sure you're checking in with yourself, and make sure you're not getting misguided.
Great pointers. Great pointers, definitely. Cannabis and diversity, right? So when you look at the demographics of users compared to the demographics of the experts in the industry and just different, groups of people that are in the cannabis industry, there is a lack of diversity. and I'm not even in the industry, but just as an outsider looking in, you just know that there's a lack of diversity in that field.
Right.
What's your experience when it comes to being a Black entrepreneur in that space?
Yeah, actually, when we got licensed, about 4 days later, CBC came knocking on our door and asked us about what's going on with diversity in the cannabis space. During that time, and that was 2020, University of Toronto and one of my favorite professors, Professor Akwasi Abembe, he released a report, and it focused on the race and gender of individuals within the cannabis space that have ownership.
Yes.
And what we see is that about 84% of the owners are white male. And if you're looking at the other side of the spectrum, there's about 2% indigenous and less than 1% Black. And obviously that's a big issue and a big indicator of where we can do better. Essentially, we know inherently that our community, Black community, as well as the indigenous community, has been criminalized for this plant for many of years. Mm-hmm. And it's just really interesting to see the fact that there has been movement, and I want to give a big shout out to Cannabis Amnesty and all the work that they've done with regards to removing criminal convictions of people who have smaller charges and as well larger charges. But we don't see that translation happening in ownership and actually being in this industry. And I found it always concerning. I found it always odd. I understand there's a mistrust. I overstand it actually. But when I see that, $9.68 billion is going to Canada's GDP, and I look at what's happening with the quality of our lives as Black Canadians or Indigenous Canadians, I have a question. Why is this not connecting? So after the clip with after the clip with CBC, Health Canada actually reached out to us, and they sent an email saying, how can we build more diversity in the space?
Yes.
I had about a week to think about this. Literally think of me and my trees all around me, and I'm just trying to take in as much as I can. And I said, okay, well, I definitely know that funding is one of the major hurdles to get into not even just the cannabis space, just entrepreneurship, period.
Exactly.
Right. The second is the learning curve that it takes for individuals to understand not even just the industry, but how their niche sector works as well, whether it be licensed, whether it be auxiliary. So how do we go about this? I remember back in September 2020, the federal government released a program called the Black Entrepreneurship Program. And I saw that there was two main components. First component, funding. So they had funding they had microloans all the way up to about $250,000. Okay. And they're working with top 5 banks and community banks to ensure that individuals will have an easy way to obtain these loans. Okay. Second component was business education and support. So how they did this was actually tapping into the non-for-profits across Canada. They built an association through FACE, which is the Federation of African Canadian Economics. And FACE oversees this support system or an ecosystem where Black Canadians from Vancouver all the way to New Brunswick could essentially tap into these non-for-profits, get support in building a business plan, financial plan, and actually gain support to get this loan if they so choose to go that route, and as well have post support after they've either received it or after they've moved forward with their business. So I'm like, okay, so this is check marking everything that I believe, and as well my business partner and brother believes that this could actually help the community. So we went back to Health Canada and we pitched the idea and we said, hey, there's already infrastructure already built, and this infrastructure is to your standard.
Yeah.
Why would you why could we not why would you not, but could we not take some licensing support or infrastructure and either implement it in the Black Entrepreneurship Fund or merge it somehow into the Black Entrepreneurship Fund so people can access not even just information, but they can also access the funding too.
Yeah.
So that happened in February of 2020. Right, February of 2021. My partner, my brother, and I, we literally were like, okay, so who are we going to talk to about this? We need to garner support. So we had Health Canada. We went to the anti-racism department of the federal government in the Heritage Department, garner support. We went to the Ontario Cannabis Store. They were so supportive, and I'm so grateful to you guys. And then we went to the provincial regulator for retail stores, which is the AGCO. They were on board. Michael and I at this time were confused, like, what's going on? We went to the Cannabis Council of Canada, who does lobbying on behalf of the cannabis industry to the government. They were on board. And then, of course, we tapped into already established Black businesses in the cannabis space, whether it be in the gray market or whether it be in the legal market, just to understand the temperature.
Yes.
And we got pretty good support. There was concern.
We
got support. And of course, most importantly, how could we not merge the two by getting in contact with FACE? And we've gotten the blessing from the CEO of FACE.
Nice.
And the ecosystem partners that also are part of the Black Entrepreneurship Program. So fast forward July 2020, we get an email from Health Canada. The next week we're on the line and they said, you know what, Ash? And, you know, a couple of partners that were actually on the call, we like this. And we're actually going to be taking steps to move forward in building something similar to what you are suggesting. So I'm like, whoa, this is crazy because, listen, like I said, I've been in cannabis for a very long time and I haven't seen a lot of people, whether it be persons of color, whether it be African, whether it be from the Caribbean, in this space. And the thing is, I see them literally knocking on the door like, what are you guys doing? Let me in. And I think it would be a really fantastic way for people to interact and actually build not even just our community, business infrastructure in our community, and as well potentially obtain a better quality of life. So this is something that, and taking it from that space, something so intimate, to something a little bit larger, because as a cannabis licensed production facility owner, that was the first fully Black owned in Canada. And to be quite honest with you, because it's not federally regulated in the States, in North America, I think this is a fantastic way for Canada to be at the forefront of diversity, but as well to show other countries that, diversity and social equity and social justice, number one, is extremely important, and we can correct those wrongs that were done in the past by building infrastructure to support communities.
I love this because you literally identified a problem in our system and you're like, this don't make sense, this don't add up, how can we fix that? And you connected a network with other people in the same industry and made it happen, solved the problem. Not really solve the problem, but a step forward.
A step forward. We're still going through it. So as of right now, we're just, Health Canada is now at the infancy of this. Obviously, there's an election going on, so nothing's really happening right now, but we're at a point where we're doing external consultations with community members. And, you know, this is going to be a long haul, but I'm here for it. I would love to see it. And I'm really hoping that this can change the trajectory of many people's lives.
Me too, definitely. So describe a typical routine for your day.
Wow, I do a lot in a day. I always wake up every morning just thanking God for another day, number one.
Yeah.
Number two, you know, I just have to take a moment, brush my teeth, all that kind of stuff. And I always go for a walk in the morning. I try to just clear my mind. Then put my lunch together, off to work. I definitely have a meeting with my co-founder right in the morning. Team members, as they come on in, do just a bit of a team meeting, figure out what we need to accomplish for the day. Making sure all of the flowers and the automation in our facility is not even just on time, but as well within range, pH range and EC range, and just making sure that all of our technology that's within the space is working well. I will have to tackle, some projects that I'm working on. I just wanted to let you guys know and give a shout out. HRVSTR right now is working on a fantastic research and development initiative with a company called Canerda. It's actually black-led, and they are a hemp producer and a hemp farm, where they actually are working on research and development initiative with the University of Guelph. So we're actually working in conjunction with them, and the research and development focuses around anti-inflammatory molecules that are not associated with the cannabinoids in the plant, whether it be hemp or cannabis. Now, everybody who doesn't understand what I just said, we're looking for anti-inflammatory molecules that are not connected to cannabinoids that are like THC and CBD. So that to the side, there's other molecules within the plant that can actually assist in anti-inflammatory properties that we would like to extract. So yeah, it's exciting. It's groundbreaking, honestly.
Because I've always known about THC, if I have to write those words together. But
CBD is a good one.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so we're about to start a game. The game is called Business Confessions. And really how this game works is I give you a scenario and you give a response, and I will have to guess, the audience can join in having me guess whether or not you're telling a lie or a confession.
Okay.
All right, so the game starts now.
Okay.
Okay, so tell me about a time when you had to go above and beyond for a client.
For a client?
Yes.
Above and beyond for a client. Okay. Okay. It wasn't really a client, it was a student at Grove School.
Okay.
She suffered from split personality disorder. And she had a bit of a challenge at work because she was utilizing cannabis, and they did not want her to utilize cannabis because of the symptoms that she was having. And so I did not go in there and say, hey, you have to let her use it. That was not my intention. My intention was to go to the workplace and talk to them and educate them about cannabis, especially CBD, that she's been using for years, by the way, and has gotten a tremendous amount of relief from. And I went there pro bono, no pay, and I educated them, and I let them know that this is something that as an employee, she has all right to utilize. And, it is her choice and what she chooses to utilize. And if she's finding relief from it, then you guys should be okay with it. But once I was able to give them a little bit of information about the cannabis industry, cannabis space, how it works within our body, the endocannabinoid system, they kind of took a step back. So shout out to you, Carolyn.
I think that's the truth. Because, reading your bio, you do educate, you have in the past educated people, about the cannabis industry and the benefits of it. So, yeah.
Okay.
So what does the future look like, not only for you, but HRVSTR?
Yeah, so HRVSTR, we're super excited to bring in Bijou blunts. As you guys all know, I was a part of the legacy. I still feel like I am in my heart. and I'm in the legal space, and I found that there was no product like a blunt in the cannabis OCS store. And so what we are bringing to the market are similar cannagars that will have all of our strains. So we have a selection of strains from grape marmalade, ice cream cake, hardo bread, pink runs. I keep going on and on and on. So it's for that sophisticated connoisseur who is looking for a slow burn experience. These are fantastic blends, and they take about half an hour to get through, half an hour to 45 minutes to get through. So for all the real ones out there, this one's for you. So we're bringing those to the OCS in January. We're super excited, and shout out to Sess Holdings for all the support that they've given us to get to this point. Also, we want to continue. It's a little bit difficult with COVID right now, and this is one of the challenges with COVID, is that we have about 8,000 square feet in which we can expand into. It's just with COVID and scheduling people and making sure that testing is right and all of these different elements that we have to think about. It's been a little bit difficult to expand, but we would like to expand our footprint that much more. And finally, I did talk to you about Canada and all the work that they're doing with the University of Guelph. So that is very exciting, and we're so happy and proud to be a part of that. So that is what's up for HRVSTR right now. And, we're so proud and we're so honored to just be a part of Business Takeout. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much for coming. I've learned so much in the short time that we have today.
Good.
For everyone who's watching, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe if you're watching from YouTube. And thank you so much for joining us today. And it was a great conversation, and I'm looking forward to more from you.
My pleasure, Banki. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye, everyone. Oh, you stay on.
If you enjoy our programming and want to help support Black entrepreneurship, please donate today. www.businesstakeout.com/donate.